It began with a note taped to my mailbox, a flimsy yellow slip titled, "Curb Appeal Notice." I figured it was a neighbor's prank. Lawn 1.5 inches overgrown, it declared in bold marker, underlined twice like it was a federal offense. That was my introduction to Susan Whitaker, the newly self-appointed HOA president who'd decided her life's purpose was to police the neighborhood with military precision. Up until then, I thought HOA rules were casual suggestions like, don't feed the squirrels or keep music low after 9 p.m. Susan, however, saw them as gospel and she crowned herself both preacher and judge. The next morning, she appeared at my door, unannounced, sporting a navy visor, a utility vest stuffed with pins and a clipboard, and a smirk that screamed, "I thrive on authority." Without a greeting, she announced, "You've got 3 violations. That's a DULA 50 fine." I blinked. Violations for what? She glanced at her clipboard like it held the secrets of the universe. Faded mailbox color, uneven trash can placement, and your wind chime exceeds noise limits. I thought she was joking. Is that a real rule? I asked. Section 4, subsection 2C, she snapped, as if she'd memorized the HOA handbook like a lawyer prepping for trial. I checked later it was real, highlighted in her copy with a star. By week's end, Susan had cited 7 other neighbors. Mr. Jenkins got a warning for a garden gnome, obstructing street view, and a single mom was fined because her kids' scooters weren't symmetrically stored. Susan's crusade was just warming up, but we still saw it as a quirky annoyance like a stray cat you could shoo away. That changed when she unveiled her HOA patrol vehicle. A golf cart decked out with a flashing yellow light, a paint job reading Susan's standard squad, and a megaphone. She'd cruise at 4 miles per hour, barking things like, "Violation detected." She even got a walkie-talkie, calling the HOA office Command Central. My yard became her obsession. She fined me for non-approved mulch after I grabbed a discounted bag from Lowe's. When I argued it matched my existing mulch, she snapped a photo and said, "Intent doesn't excuse visual discord." My buddy, a lawyer, laughed so hard he spilled his beer when I told him. One day, I caught her lurking in my shrubs with a ruler. "This rosebush violat setback rules," she said. I pointed out she was on my property. "I'm assessing," she replied like she had a badge from the FBI. I told her to leave or I'd call the cops. She muttered, "You'll hear from the Standards Committee." That night, a letter was taped to my back door, not mailed, taped. It read, "Due to your uncooperative attitude, you're now under priority oversight status." Priority oversight status? No one knew what it meant, not even the HOA manual. Susan had invented it. I called the HOA office and got a part-timer named Jess, who sighed, "Yeah, Susan makes stuff up sometimes. She's intense." Intense? Susan was one stapler away from staging a takeover. The neighborhood stayed quiet at first. People feared her fines, her mysterious Standards Committee, which turned out to be just her and her dog, Biscuit, and her relentless clipboard. But I was done. When she tried to fine me for a visibile garden hose because hydration tools must be concealed, I started fighting back, not with yelling, but with evy denke. I logged everything, timestamps, photos, even a spreadsheet of her fines. Spoiler, I wasn't her only target, and I wasn't the only one fed up. Susan thought she was crafting a utopia of tidy lawns and matching mailboxes. Instead, she was brewing a rebellion fueled by fake fines and backyard invasions. Her boldest move came at 6:30 a.m. One Saturday. I spotted a figure creeping past my window, clipboard in hand, phone holstered like a cowboy's pistol. I thought it was a burglar until I saw the view. I saw it was Susan in my backyard. She didn't blink when I confronted her. "This is a perimeter standards check," she said, scribbling on a custom citation pad she'd printed herself. "Unapproved deck chair, sloppy hose coiling, grill placement off-center, and your fence has excessive gloss." Was this an HOA or a reality show for control freaks? Then she upped the ante. By 7 a.m., 2 more visor-wearing neighbors, Nancy from down the street and her husband, Greg, slipped through my side gate, which Susan had unlocked. They were her Curb Harmony Task Force, another title she'd made up. Greg mumbled, "Sorry," as Susan ordered him to measure my patio table. I told them to leave. Susan whipped out a laminated map, claiming my yard was common VYEW property, under Article 5, Section 7, visible areas from upper windows. When I pointed out that meant her bedroom window spying on my yard, she smirked and flipped to a page titled Harmony over Personal Space. A proposal. I threatened to call the police. She smirked again. I already did. You threatened me last week. This is my preemptive report. She showed me a note on her phone labeled Resident Resistance Log Entry 12. I filmed everything. Susan poking my AC unit with a ruler, measuring my birdhouse from 3 angles, arguing with Greg about whether my flower bed clashed with the seasonal palette. She even called my fountain water wasteful during a week of rain. The footage was gold. Especially when Nancy accidentally tipped over my lavender pot, and Susan yelled, "That's tampering with compliance." I posted it to our community Facebook group with the caption, "HOA or Home Invasion Squad?" Got 75 likes in an hour. Susan fired back, claiming the video was miscontextualized and that she was conducting authorized aesthetic duties. Someone commented, "Susan, you broke into a yard with a tape measure and a grudge." Undeterred, Susan escalated. The next day, she launched her wall of violations, 8x10 photos of alleged infractions pinned to a board outside the HOA clubhouse, complete with residents' names. I was featured twice, including a shot of me grilling with my cousin, captioned, "Unpermitted smoke output." The backlash was swift. 10 neighbors protested. Susan claimed the board was educational, citing a rule about community displays. That rule was about bake sales, not public shaming. Someone pinned a photo of Susan's own overflowing recycling bin, labeled Exhibit, Irony. She didn't stop. She mailed out conduct citations, accusing me of stirring discord, digitally mocking officials, and disrupting unity with sarcasm. That last one cracked me up. But it also confirmed Susan wasn't just running an HOA, she was building a surveillance state with fake rules, fake teams, and fake authority. So I fought back legally. I hired an attorney who flagged her for trespassing, privacy invasion, and harassment. He also suggested I request the HOA's official charter. When I did, I got a fuzzy scan from 2001, 6 pages, none mentioning curb harmony task forces or conduct citations. My lawyer grinned. "This is HOA fan fiction." Then came the bombshell. Susan wasn't even the real president. I called a board member, Maria Lopez, listed as treasurer on an HOA flyer. She groaned, "You've met Susan?" I asked if Susan was elected. Long pause. Technically, no. The real president had moved away 4 months earlier, emailing the board to hold elections. Susan intercepted it, declared herself acting president under Emergency Bylaw 13B, which didn't exist, and seized control. No vote, no approval, just a power grab typed in Arial font and signed S. Whitaker, president by duty. Armed with this, I dug deeper. A public records request to the city revealed the HOA's 1997 founding documents. Susan's name wasn't there, she only lived here 8 months. In that time, she built a suburban dystopia with forged fines and laminated lies. I met Maria and 2 other board members at a coffee shop. They brought files, I brought proof of Susan's fake title. One board member, Carl, a guy who still used a flip phone, said, "This isn't an HOTS, a one-woman occupation. We planned a legal ousting." Maria whispered, "We can vote her out. They just needed EVY Denke." I had plenty: trespassing footage, fake fines, her Instagram, Neighborhood Unity by Susan, 12 followers, including Biscuit's account. Maria added emails where Susan admitted she assumed leadership to save the aesthetic soul and mocked residents. Carl's flagpole tilt should be a felony. We drafted a cease and desist letter, citing her false authority. Susan's response? She called a solo emergency meeting. With minutes reading. Susan opened. Susan reviewed claims. Susan cleared Susan. Susan closed. But we were done playing. The board filed a city complaint. Susan was ordered to vacate the HOA office and surrender all files. When the locksmith changed the clubhouse locks, she stood outside, yelling, "You're dismantling harmony," like a suburban super VY lane. Her Instagram post read, "They stole my pen, but not my purpose." Biscuit liked it. You'd think losing her fake throne would stop her. But Susan went rogue. It started small. Knocktober planters. A false noise complaint about my cat. He's deaf. Then came a letter, final notice. Do Law 400 for accumulated violations on a photocopied HOA letterhead from a PO. Box labeled Community Standards Unit. It was Susan running a shadow HOA. The fines were absurd: lawn defiance, improper rake storage, ignoring prior notices. 6 neighbors got similar letters. I traced the PO. Box to a mail store 3 towns over. One night, my motion light tripped at 3 a.m. Camera footage showed Susan in black yoga pants and a beanie embroidered with Standards Forever, flying a drone over my yard. She wasn't trespassing, she'd gone airborne. I found a tiny camera zip-tied to my fence. I posted it online. Susan's now the NSA. Neighbors reported similar finds. A speaker playing piano music under a porch, Susan rifling through trash for non-compliant packaging. One neighbor, Ellen, her former ally, showed me a folder Susan left her photos of yards with Sharpie ratings like curb offense, 6 out of 10, and notes like Maria. Too many daisies, chaotic vibe. Then came sabotage. My mailbox disappeared, inked from the ground. Officer Daniels, who'd dealt with Susan before, sighed, "Another one? HOA nonsense." I showed him the drone VY Deo in her Instagram caption. "Oversight is stewardship." He muttered, "Raccoons cause less trouble." Susan's pranks grew bolder. Unscrewed porch bulbs, deflated car tires. A lawn flamingo turned to face a wall like it was in timeout. She slipped fake citations under doors for porch VoIP violations and excessive window clarity. We formed a group chat, Standards Resistance, sharing EVY Denke. The clincher. Susan had hacked the HOA's email system, sending newsletters from a stolen login. One read, "Susan was unjustly removed by chaos agents. Fines resume Friday." Signed, Acting President Emerita. Maria's lawyer confirmed it was cyber harassment. The P.O. box was shut down, and Susan got another cease and desist, now with a restraining order. She showed up at the mailbox hub in a hoodie yelling, "This is persecution." But we'd changed. Where we once feared her, we now mocked her. Ellen made shirts saying curb offense, 6 out of 10. A yard sign read, "Protected by Standards Resistance, will snitch on Susan." Susan's final act came at 3:15 a.m. My phone pinged. Motion alert. The camera showed her in my flower bed, flashlight in one hand, ruler in the other, wearing a shirt that said, "Unity is beautiful" in glitter font. She was measuring my garden stakes, muttering like she was casting a spell. I streamed it live to the Facebook group, Susan's Backyard Break-In, Round 2. By minute 3, 50 people were watching. By minute 6, 200. Comments poured in, "Is she blessing the dirt? 3-finger salute, what's that code for?" Susan spotted the camera, glared, and hissed, "This won't stop me." Then she taped the laminated form to my door, final citation, unreported infractions and ethical lapses. I called 911. The dispatcher sighed. 5th call about her this month. Officers Daniels and Ruiz arrived as Susan emerged from my shed, still lecturing about hedge anarchy. Daniels said, "Ma'am, drop the ruler." Susan launched into a tirade. "This street is lawless. I'm the last guardian of order. That shrub's too tall." Ruiz, unfazed, replied, "You're vandalizing a yard with a flashlight." They cuffed her, charging her with trespassing, attempted theft. She'd grabbed my trowel and disturbing the peace. The live feed hit 1,000 viewers. Someone memed her yelling at a planter, "The Susan versus shrubs." We celebrated. Ellen hosted a clipboard-free barbecue. Someone brought a Susan piñata stuffed with fake fines. I framed the tape citation and hung it by my grill. But Susan's glare as she was driven away lingered. She wasn't done. Weeks later, a manila envelope arrived for the HOA board, marked "Urgent Legal Action." Susan was suing us, the city, and Officer Daniels for emotional sabotage, public mockery, and usurping her DVYNE mandate. Her 20 exhibits included memes, a drone shot of her own shoe, and a graph of harmony decline. We laughed, then saw the court date, 3 days away. We hired Carl's cousin, a lawyer, who called it a glitter glue tantrum. In court, Susan wore a sash proclaiming HOA trailblazer and hauled in a suitcase of folders. Her opening, "Your Honor, these neighbors conspired to murder my legacy." She called our memes psychological warfare. Our lawyer showed the drone footage, her fake fines, and emails where she called me a lawn rebel. The judge, VY Sibley, exhausted, said, "Ms. Whitaker, you've proven nothing except your own misconduct." He dismissed the case, referred her for fraud review EW, and warned, "This is the most deranged bar chart I've seen." Susan stormed out, yelling, "You fear structure." We partied. Ellen baked a cake, no more oversight. But Susan's house stayed quiet, too quiet. 6 weeks later, flyers appeared, order returns. An email from Susan Restores its own communityfix.org announced the Pro-VY Sino Alliance for Curb Reform. Then a banner went up at the neighborhood entrance. The order Renaissance begins. Susan set up a table outside the clubhouse with pamphlets and a speaker playing harp music. She wore a sash, founder, acting visionary. Her pitch to a jogger, the HOA failed. I'm dissolving it for aesthetic treason. She'd printed fake ballots to reinstate herself. Maria arrived with the real charter. Susan, you're done. Susan screamed the bylaws are obsolete. The cops came, same officers, same size. Ma'am, no more coup attempts. Susan's 2 recruits bailed, one took her donuts. Her final warning, you'll miss me when your fences peel. The HOA declared her ballots void. Someone hung a sign, Renaissance cancelled, 6 a.m. 9 a.m. Jeremy's drone revealed the truth. Susan's backyard shed was a curb control hub, with solar panels, a router, and a sign, HAIs never blink. Receipts showed she'd siphoned $5,000 from the HOA for monitoring tech. Our IT guy, Nate, hacked her default password, standards forever, and found logs tracking residents, labeled curb threats. A video showed Susan vowing order will prevail. The city shut it down as an illegal structure. Investigators found a panic room with canned soup and resident photos marked monitor closely. I was chief dissenter. The news broke, HOA rogue build spy shed. Susan called it VY Soul terrorism. Her shed was raised, she faced fraud charges. We watched sipping lemonade. Ellen's shirt read, curb control denied. Susan's last gasp came months later, a postcard offering certified curb consulting by SW. She'd gone door to door, pitching lawn VYB audits for DULA 30. Her website, curbtruth.org, listed client wins her own fines. She held order circles in her garage, handing out curb oath cards. The state shut her down for unlicensed consulting. Her business cards became teen trading cards. Then the finale. One morning I heard a rumble. Susan was in my backyard with a cement mixer, pouring concrete over my garden path. You're part of the Curb Unity project. She beamed. In a vest labeled, Standards Enforcer. She'd marked my path with spray paint, calling it Paver Chaos Correction. Signs in the wet cement read, Beautified by Community Will. Skylar, her helper, shrugged. She said you approved. I called the cops. Daniels arrived as Susan lectured Skylar on grout symmetry. The mixer was impounded, Susan arrested for trespassing, vandalism, and unlicensed construction. The news screamed, HOA outlaw cement's yard. Memes exploded, Susan on a mixer, captioned, Pa VYing paradise. The slab stayed. We painted it green, added gnome handprints, and called it Susan's Folly. Susan sued, claiming it was street art. In court, she wore a beret, calling herself a curb poet. Her PowerPoint, Pavement as Protest, was cut off. The judge ruled, this isn't art, it's a crime. She owed DULA $10,000 for repairs and was banned from all county HOAs. We turned the slab into a mural. Here lies Susan's ego. Her house wouldn't sell, buyers fled at the slab's site. She moved away quietly, her standards archives boxed up. We buried a time capsule under the slab. A fake fine, a shed photo, and her quote, You fear unity, I build it. Every July we grill by the slab, toasting freedom. Susan resurfaced in Pine VYEW 10 miles away as S. Beatrice pitching curb clarity. Their HOA Googled her, found the slab saga, and voted her out in a week. She stormed their meeting, resigned with 30 fake citations, and left. Pine VYEW sent us a note. Thanks for the warning. The county banned her from all HOAs for life, issuing a Susan alert with her aliases. Keychains reading, Not a Susan, went to every board member. Her appeal, Redemption Through Rules, was trashed. Skylar's TikTok, My HOA boss cemented a yard. Hit 5 million VYUs. Merch followed, I serve VY vet Susan mugs, slab-shaped coasters. A podcast, Curb Chaos, ran 4 episodes. Susan vanished to a rural town selling mulch. She tried a gravel alignment plan and was fired. Her legacy? A slab, a meme, and a neighborhood that learned to laugh. We hold a yearly slab fest, adding a gnome and reciting, Unity's earned, not enforced. The slab's plaque reads, Here lies Susan's rain cracked, not cohesive. It's our weirdest treasure, proof we beat a tyrant with community and a touch of cement irony.